Welcome to Confident Women Ireland. I'm thrilled today to introduce you to Deirdre Martin, who is a business coach, and Deirdre specialises in customer experience, management, leadership, sales, and customer loyalty. Deirdre helps entrepreneurs, small SMEs with less than 50 employees to create loyal customer base, more efficiencies and revenue. Deirdre Martin is a professional trainer and coach based here in the Kilkenny in the sunny southeast of Ireland. Deirdre helps new coaches, consultants and business owners attract and convert their ideal clients. Convert those clients into cheerleaders, create efficiency in their businesses and maximize their profitability through a 6-month mentorship program. With a very successful banking career spanning over 20 years, Deirdre managed branches and teams and customer strategies. Many female business owners will recognise Deirdre through her role as ex-official of Network Ireland Kilkenny in 2021, mentor, Lift Ireland facilitator, blogger and speaker. Deirdre has now had a career change and launched her own business and is the founder of CX Creators and the Customer Experience Masterclass series, which she established to inspire and motivate female entrepreneurs to realise their full potential and serve others exceptionally. Deirdre's mission with CX Creators is to create a movement where solo entrepreneurs become accomplished customer experience creators, making a difference in their lives and the people they touch through customer experience. Also featured in Confident Women Ireland's Nolig Manon YouTube channel launch. Deirdre, you're very welcome back to Confident Women Ireland.
Thanks so much for having me again, Roisin. Delighted to be back a second time. Never mind in the first instance. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. And I always enjoy having you on my either the Woman to Woman show or the Start Me Up business program as well. You're such a pleasure to interview.
Thank you, Roisin. Thank you. I'm excited to see what you're going to ask me today because I have no clue, really.
Deirdre, you've had, as I said in my intro, a very successful banking career. You left that all behind you. Now, as a successful entrepreneur in your own right again, can you first start by telling our Confident Women Ireland YouTube audience, who is the woman behind the successful businesswoman?
Oh, gosh, where do I start? I suppose, first and foremost, I'm a mother. I'm a sister. I'm a niece. Both my parents have passed away, so I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a regular woman who just tries to juggle and balance it all, like probably a lot of your listeners, Roisin.
Like many women achieve and female entrepreneurs, you're juggling your family, as you said, and also a very busy, successful businesswoman, mentor, coach, and all the other expertise that you have and you bring to your advice, and also in your role in Business Network Kilkenny as well.
Yeah, exactly. And, I suppose I could say volunteer, I could say friend. I'm a horse riding enthusiast. There's loads of things that I am outside of work, and all of those things help me in terms of the work that I do, because whether it's getting energy from exercising with horses, whether it's from, cooking nutritional meals at home with my family, all of those are the things that lead me into my engagements with my clients and help me perform at a higher level.
So Deirdre, you left a successful banking career, but what inspired you to even think about and then launching your own business?
Oh, it's a long story. So let me give you the condensed version, Roisin. I suppose with 20 years working in banking, I just felt, I think probably in the last 5 years, that I wanted to do something else, but I didn't really know what that something else was. And, whilst I still went to work every day and gave it my all, I just felt I didn't feel as fulfilled as I knew I could. Mm-hmm. So I found out in September of 2020 that I was going to be made redundant. And I did some self-coaching. I went and got some Myers-Briggs assessments and I did them on myself. And for anybody who doesn't know what a Myers-Briggs assessment is, it's a type of a personality test that can help you identify what typical jobs and careers that might be suitable for you based on that test. And, you know, something else, Roisin, and to be very frank, is that I was on a really good salary. I mean, I had 20 years experience in the bank and I was a branch manager. I had a fantastic salary. And I knew in my heart and soul, I didn't want to go into another 9 to 5 because I'm the type of person where it's not 9 to 5, actually. I worked from 8 until maybe 8 at night. You know, I really put in extra hours in work. And that's a challenge even as an entrepreneur, because I need to create boundaries for myself so that I manage that energy and things like that. But anyway, so what I did was I did that self-coaching and realized, okay, so there are other things that I might be able to do or turn my hand to. I went and got some coaching as well, external coaching through one of the networks that I'm in, and some mentoring. And I just threw it out there that, you know, I'm thinking about maybe starting my own business. This is where I have experience. These are the things that I love. You know, these are the things where, you know, one of the questions I'd asked myself was, well, 2 questions I'd asked myself. Firstly, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Yeah. That was the first question. What would I do if I wasn't afraid? And the second question I asked myself is, when I came home from the day's work in the bank, what had happened on the days where I felt this was a great day? And these were the days where I couldn't wait to come home and tell my husband and my kids about, you know, I had a great day in work today and what happened. And so when I kind of blended the answers to those 2 questions together, I came up with, I need to start my own business. And, you know, the other thing that struck me with that brought me to where I am was, I didn't want to go into a 9 to 5, take lower money than what I'd been earning. So I needed to create a business where I could have an equivalent salary or a better salary, but doing the things I love. And that's why I am where I am today.
So tell us about your business. So tell me, what is your business? Who do you help, and who would be your normal everyday clients?
Okay, so my business simply helps people get and keep their ideal clients. So I help businesses to look at their customer journey, and that journey starts from when their clients have a need or a desire, or when they recognize they have a problem or they have a goal that they need to solve. And it's about getting their clients to discover them, and then to do business with them, and then never want to stop doing business with them. So it starts from that need or desire, which often we can't control as business owners, and it takes them all the way through. So essentially, where it's like an infinity loop, then once the clients start to engage and do business, that they never stop. So the typical people I work with are service-based entrepreneurs. So I have some group programs, Roisin, that I have where people come into a group, and together we work through customer experience. So customer experience is very broad, and a lot of people think that customer experience is customer service. They are so far from the same thing. Customer service is just one element of customer experience. Customer experience, in my view, is made up of 6 different things, actually. And the first one is really knowing and understanding who your ideal clients are. So it's knowing your market, knowing your competition, knowing everything there is to possibly know about your ideal clients. Then it's about branding and creating a brand that will resonate with your ideal clients. So that's how it looks, how it sounds, the type of feeling that you get when you engage with that brand. And then it's marketing. So it's creating a message about your brand for your ideal customers that when they hear it, they think, hey, she's talking to me. That's exactly what I need. How did she know that? It really sounds like she can help me. I'm going to check that out and do business with them. And then it's about sales. So the sales part is, clients don't actually become clients until they buy from you.
That's right.
The best marketing in the world, they're still not clients until they've clicked the buy now button and paid. And then there's leadership element as well, because to be exceptional at customer experience, to be high performers in business, to lead teams, to deliver good experiences, we have to have and develop our leadership skills. So it could be problem solving, it could be listening, it could be empathy. And then of course there is the whole customer experience piece in itself, which is customer journey mapping. It's looking at the service elements that you deliver. It's also looking at measuring customer satisfaction. It's how do you handle complaints, all of those things, and all of that together is what I cover in my program. So it's quite a lot. It's very broad. And, elements of it are social media marketing. There is everything from performance managing employees and even performance managing yourself, Roisin, because sometimes we need to give ourselves a kick in the derriere to keep us on track.
We certainly do. And I think that's where I think too is where women entrepreneurs networking together, supporting one another, and women supporting women without the word salad, I will add. I always add that, really, really purposefully empowering women and, egging other women on. And I think you do that magnificently. And it's very natural for you to do that. You naturally support women. And that seems to be really a great intention with you. And it seems to be very natural.
I think I have to admit that probably comes from being a part of a Network Ireland group, where it is all women in business. And I certainly felt more comfortable when I was starting my own business being surrounded by other women. And I think it stemmed from there. But my group programs are open now to men and women. Yes. Having said that, it's still all a female group. So, originally when I started, and again, this is a little bit of imposter syndrome, Roisin. Originally, when I started, I did offer my program only and exclusively to women. But since January of 2022, it's now open to men as well. So I have been engaging with a couple of gentlemen, and potentially they will be coming on board. So, those are the group programs that I have. And there's different things that I do within those as well, because I've since become a Storybrand certified guide. I don't know if you're familiar with Storybrand, Roisin.
Tell me that.
Okay, so Storybrand is something that a gentleman by the name of Donald Miller set up. Donald has written books called Building a Story Brand. He's written books called Hero on a Mission, Marketing Made Simple, Business Made Simple. He's written multiple books. But the Building a Story Brand is based on a 7-part framework that helps you articulate your message in terms of business. So Donald's concept is that in business, there should only be really 7 messages that you need to communicate to your ideal clients to attract them, to make sure that it lands and resonates with them. And that's not just in your social media marketing, it's on your website, it's in your email communications, it's, if you've got a brochure, on those, wherever you might engage with your clients, this is the place to include those 7 messages. So part of what I do now is I work with clients to help them create their message. So, on the About You section, people always go, oh God, how do I write what's on the About You section on my website? So, really every part of your website should be about your customer, and it shouldn't be about you. The customer, to quote Donald Miller, the customer should be the hero of the story. So the hero, everything you talk about, and I say this to my client, look back on the last few social media posts you've had and count how many I's and we's you've written. And then, reflect on that and say, how could you replace that with you and yours, so that the story is about them and not about you? Because if people can visualize themselves in the story, if they can picture what success looks like, if they can say, oh, that problem is exactly the problem that I'm experiencing, it just helps create a connection and a bond with the people who are reading your message. Because, you know, with the best will in the world, you can have fantastic graphics, but if the words on top of the graphics don't make sense, well, people aren't going to stop and listen. So it's harder to get clients. There's so much noise out there, you know, it's a busy world. So part of what I do is to help people create this story.
I'm very shy. I have a very bold cat. Doesn't want to go down.
And other elements of that are, you know, helping people generate lead magnets or lead generators. So some sort of freebie giveaway that in exchange for giving it to a potential client, you get their email address. And then when you get their email address, you enter them into a sequence. So it's a nurture sequence where you offer a product or a service, because email marketing is very effective still. And that's one of the elements of the Storybrand piece. So I work with business owners, service-based business owners. People can come through the group option, and where I do some, you do it yourself, or else there's a done with you option. Plus, on a one-to-one basis, separate to that, I offer this Storybrand. Some of the options available there under Storybrand, as well as customer journey mapping for people. So customer journey mapping is exceptional. It's a great way to find out where are you missing opportunities in your business? How can you create efficiencies in your business? And just to share one story with you, Roisin, I worked last year in 2021 with an SME business. And this SME business was full of project managers, and they were bringing in a new service that they were providing to their let's say domestic clients as opposed to commercial clients. One of the things with this was what they did was they tried to take the commercial journey that they had in place already and apply that to the domestic journey. But actually it just didn't work. And what was interesting was the gentleman who was overseeing this actually had studied customer experience. He'd written a thesis when he was in college about customer loyalty. So he really spoke my language when we got talking. And what was incredible was that when we sat down and we did the journey mapping exercise, we were able to cut back the processes that they were implementing on the back end, and some of the steps on the front end from the customer. From, say, on the back end, it was reducing processes from 11 steps to 4. So that was by finding efficient ways to automate certain things that made the journey smoother from the customer's perspective, but also cut out work on the back end for the business. And so, like, you know, when we broke this down, these guys are project managers, so they're on quite good salaries. You're probably talking 50, 60,000 euro. But if they spoke to 20 clients a week, for example, it's probably 2 hours work for each client. So that's the equivalent of 40 hours a week, which is a year's salary. So by simply looking at the customer journey, introducing some automation for free, because the stuff they were able to include was free, they basically saved themselves 50, 60 grand.
Wow.
You know, so that's a way where the efficiencies piece comes into it in terms of journey mapping.
That sounds really, really interesting. Really interesting. I love the journey mapping, and I love how you do emphasize on the customer experience, because as you said, there's a complete difference. I used to teach and train customer service, but I always used to say it doesn't matter. I used to always say it's more about the customer experience. Did they walk out that door? Did they put down their phone? Did they turn off the Zoom as we are now and say, wow, I really enjoyed the whole experience of dealing with that brand, their employees, or whoever I was. That is what you say is the retention, where they come back for more and they tell people about you and your business.
Yeah. But then it's having the right language as well, Roisin, to ask them to do that. And, the right things to offer people at that stage. And like what I see happening is, let's say I've got a few different clients who would have thought that my business it's a one-stop shop. The customer comes, does business, they're gone. But it doesn't have to be that way. And retaining customers actually and customer loyalty is much more cost effective for any business than it is to constantly be going out and trying to find new clients. So for example, I've got one client who's a photographer. And she specifically does wedding photography. And she's like, but you're Deirdre, they're only going to get married once, you'd hope, And I'm like, yes, well, you would hope that. But what about their first year wedding anniversary? Yeah. And could you do a photo shoot for them then? Or touching base with them after 10 years? Or what about, if there's the patter of tiny feet, if that's the type of thing, or maybe their first pet, or maybe their first home. And how can you stay engaged with them afterwards so that you are the only photographer they ever think of, and where they mightn't have ever even thought about getting a photographer, now they will. And so there's ways where after people do business with you, again, it can be a nurture sequence with emails. And an example I regularly give is, let's say it's coming into winter, for example, and next thing you see on social media, somebody puts up a post, it's a plumber, and it's 5 ways to make sure your pipes don't burst this winter. So you're going to be like, gosh, I really don't want my pipes to burst this winter. I don't want to be without hot water. I want to have heat in my radiators. And I don't want the expense of having to get a plumber if my pipes burst. So, that might be something that you opt into. And you might never have any problems with your pipes. But if this plumber sends you a monthly email once a month with similar tips, summer comes, let's say, and all of a sudden you've got a plumbing issue, nothing to do with pipes bursting, but something else crops up. The first person you're going to think of for your plumbing issue is the person who you opted into back in the winter time, and they've been sending you a monthly email. So this is how you nurture people, even if you think it's just a one transaction. It doesn't have to be just a one transaction, and then again, if it's face to face, if those are the types of conversations you're having with people, it's about having the right language to be able to say to them, you wouldn't happen to know somebody just like you who might benefit from whatever it is that you offer, and inviting them to pass on details, or maybe incentivizing them with a discount so that they refer other people to you. Because, and again, there's interesting statistics around this, but let's say, Roisin, if I referred you to, I don't know, a hair salon, or, a nail place, or to talk to whatever bank, or, whatever it is, you are 60% more likely to go if we have a good relationship, you and I, and you trust me, you trust the advice that I've given, if you've seen the success that I've had, if you hear testimony from a friend or family member, you are 60% more likely to buy when you enter into that business. So when we ask our customers to tell people about the service that we offer, well, that's exactly what they'll do. But if we incentivize them, they will tell more people, because, and again, the statistics are interesting around this. If somebody has a poor experience, they'll tell between 6 and 18 others. If people have a good experience, only 1 in 17 people will talk about their good experience, right? 1 in 17. But if we ask every customer who's had a good experience to talk about us, well, then that's 17 people out there who will, 16 people out there who wouldn't have said anything at all, who now will. Yeah. So it's a fantastic way to get customers, and people don't utilize that at all, or very few do. And if they are, and if people are listening and they do that, well, then they are streets ahead of so many others.
Funny how we talk about experience, because I completely forgot. My thesis for my media and PR degree was on, it was on the comparative analysis, very long, comparative analysis of male and female politicians' media experiences. It was never done in Ireland, but it was done everywhere else. And that really worked well in with my previous role as a professional trainer and facilitator in customer service, customer experience, and in all the other soft skills. And the one thing I always said when in my radio programs, yes, the content is great, everything. As long as you get the content right, you've got, but it was for me making sure that anyone came into that studio from the minute they walked into the radio station, into the studio, back in the car and out the road, they had a good experience of being in the radio program. To me, that was as equally as important as the content and the guest.
Yeah, and you're right. And but the thing is, and this is what I would have said to people when we were working in the bank as well, the experience doesn't start the minute they land on the premises. It starts well in advance of that, right?
So for example, the introduction, how they get you, even how they get you, either your email, they hear your name.
Everything. And even if parking has nothing to do with your business, it still impacts the overall experience. And I regularly ask this question when I'm doing a workshop on customer journey mapping. I would just pick somebody and say, where's the last place you've been? Was it to the school to do the school run? Was it to the supermarket? And then what prompted you to go there? So let's say for the supermarket, for example, right? You go to the supermarket because your fridge is empty, or, you have kids screaming at you going, Mommy, I have no food, or whatever. I have nothing for my lunch tomorrow, whatever it might be. You might be doing your weekly shop, but you go because you have a need or a desire. So, then you start to plan in your head what it is that you're going for. What's the objective and the goal? What do you want to accomplish? Now, we do this subconsciously, particularly women, right? Sometimes we'll write lists and other times we won't. And what happens is we will maybe get the shopping bags out, we'll put them into the car, we'll plan which supermarket we're going to, what we're going to get in which supermarket. And we might, some people will do all the grocery shopping in one place, other people will go to 3 or 4 supermarkets. Yeah. So you go, you find a parking space, but if you can't find a parking space, that's already a bump in your journey. If the car park is closed, that's a bump in your journey. If you need a trolley token or a coin and you don't have one, you have to go into the supermarket queue to get your coin. That's a bump in your journey. All of these things, if there's hurdles or bumps or anything like that that makes it difficult for us, all of those are things that affect our emotions because our thoughts are impacted by this is hard. Or, oh gosh, I'm not in the farm for this today. If we don't make things really easy for people, that's exactly the type of experience they have. And what happens is if we don't do what we say we're going to do on the tin, and if we create hurdles or bumps that people have to go through, those are the things that cause emotions and thoughts that impact the experience. And so what happens is, in a lot of cases, and again, this is another example I regularly give people. Do you know when you meet somebody and you don't remember them the next time you met them? Have you ever had that?
A couple of times, just a couple of times.
Yeah. And it's incredibly embarrassing when it happens, right? And it's happened to me multiple times because I was customer facing in the bank for 20 years. So, I'm not going to remember every single person I've ever encountered, right? Sometimes they'll remember me and other times they won't. And that's okay. But it's incredibly embarrassing when it does happen. Yeah. Moral of the story is the same thing can happen with your business. People will engage with your business, but they won't remember it. And actually, if they remember it, good or bad, that's better than not remembering it at all. Because if they remember it, good or bad, they had an emotion. They have some thought when they see your brand or the logo or the shop or the office or your name coming through in an email. And those are the things that evoke the emotion. And those emotions evoke thoughts. And those thoughts are, that was a good experience or that was a bad experience. So it all ties back in. The whole lot is intertwined and connected. It's like a ball of wool, Roisin. It's all, it's all intertwined.
And when you think about it too, everything comes from the mindset.
Yeah.
And if you think it's exactly what you're saying, it's the mindset. And in business, it's about getting that mindset right, isn't it? And that's something that you're very strong on too, and you're always pushing that on too, but getting that mindset right. As you said, the thoughts, and the emotions, they're very interconnected to the behaviors.
That's it. A lot of it is to do with growth mindset in business. And as when I was becoming a coach, it was specifically around high performance. And one of the things with high performance is about clarity. It's about necessity. It's about the mindset, and being able to become self-aware. And part of the emotional intelligence training that I've done is exactly around that as well, because it's to do with empathy, and it's about understanding our thoughts and our emotions. That's what emotional intelligence is. And it's about being able to recognize emotions in yourself, recognizing emotions in others, using your emotions to improve your performance, and much more than that. So, that's where the whole mindset piece comes into it. And I am a big believer in the power of the subconscious mind, because I think if we firmly believe something, if we use positive affirmations, those are the types of things that actually subconsciously help us get where we want to go. And even things like setting your goals for your business, taking the time to do that and write them out. The minute you start to do that subconsciously, your brain actually looks for ways to help you make that goal a reality. So again, it's all interlinked and intertwined. I find that part so interesting, so much so I have considered going and studying a master's in psychology. That I just find that part so interesting. But it definitely all comes back to your customers as well. And it is about growth mindset. It's to do with resilience, problem solving, and how we face things when challenges arise. And sometimes it could be a customer complaint. A customer might leave you, and it's how you respond and react. And again, in the past week or two, a client of mine said, she said, Deirdre, oh my God, the worst thing happened. And I'm like, tell me what happened. I missed a client meeting, she said. The clients had driven, she was meeting clients at a hotel. And the clients had driven maybe 30 minutes to come to the hotel. And for whatever reason, this was on a Monday morning, the appointment hadn't gone into her calendar. So she missed the meeting. Now, she was absolutely mortified. And, whilst it was something before, she might have went, it'll be grand. Now she's much more different perspective on it. So what she did was she offered the clients something in compensation for their time, their travel. And like it was not just a little gesture, it was a big gesture to say, I'm so sorry, this was complete accident, human error on my part, mea culpa, hands up. And again, it was her mindset shift around that. And my response was, you couldn't have handled that any better. We all make mistakes. I'm a customer experience person. Even I make mistakes. I'm human too. And the thing is that we do own it when we make a mistake. And part of the questions that I like to ask people is, how did your body respond when you found out about that mistake? Did you have palpitations? Did your breath get quick? Did you start to perspire from everywhere? Because our body naturally has this fight or flight response. And actually stopping to pause and reflect on what they are, those are the things that help us when the next situation arises. And fortunately for her, she wasn't face to face when she realized what had happened, because when something like that happens face to face, I know for me, I tremble. That's what happens to me. That's my fight or flight response. I tremble, I get shaky. But I recognize that. And when you recognize that, it enables you to be able to handle situations better. But again, unless you're aware of these things and open-minded about these things, and this is the leadership piece, that we're talking about here, really, the mindset and the leadership piece are, again, they're also connected. And when we engage with customers, even with colleagues and team members, you might have a virtual assistant that you use. They might not be doing what they're supposed to do. And how are you responding and reacting in that situation? How are you handling them? How are you managing their performance? Never mind your own, because actually managing people is the hardest job of all.
Very hard.
Hardest job of all. So, you know, it is, it's interesting, Roisin, and all the mindset stuff. It's very interesting.
And I think what you're saying too is, I think as business owners or even as individuals, once we know and understand and have a good relationship with ourselves, we know how we're going to react in any given circumstance. And we know, okay, I trust myself. I trust myself that I'm not going to, one, let myself down, fall apart, or have a panic attack in front of everybody. You can go, oh, right. Again, as you say, the trust. When you trust yourself, you trust other people, and you can trust yourself to say, I think I know how they're going to react. I don't know them, but if this was me, this is how I would react. So your client was really, as you said, couldn't have handled it much better, because she trusted herself. She knew her value. She knew she was good at her job. Human error. And anyone who would say human error, we actually think, God, there for the grace of God go I. It can happen to anybody.
Yeah, it really can. And I think, you know, when people admit it, I made a mistake. It's so rare that we hear people say that in business, that it actually, you go, oh God, you're nearly taken aback when people say that, but in a good way, you know, in a good way. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And that's exactly what we should say. So, you know, there is, in my group program, what I have done is I've pre-recorded certain material, and there's a class on that, and the classes that I've pre-recorded vary in length from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, but there is a class recorded on that, and it's to recognize what are the symptoms that you experience in fight or flight, and you know what can you do to help prepare yourself should something like that come up. But that's why everything in terms of customer experience, it is about mindset. It's about how you manage yourself, because when you're engaging with somebody like that, as I say, you just don't know what they're going to throw at you. You don't know what's going to go right, what's going to go wrong. And part of journey mapping is actually helping make sure that you're more consistent with what's supposed to happen now. You know, what do I need to do next? And when you're clear on that, actually it really does eliminate quite a lot of the things that do go wrong. You know, and another thing that's interesting about stuff like that in terms of mindset and complaints as well, Roisin, is that there's 3 things actually happen, and hopefully I'll remember all 3 as I'm talking about this, but there's 3 things that typically happen when things go wrong, right? So firstly, we take it very personally, because when somebody complains, it's very hard not to take it personally, because your business feels like your baby, right? It's like somebody saying your baby's ugly if something goes wrong with your business. It's horrible. And you know, I even feel that even more so if somebody's dissatisfied in any way with the things that I offer, because I'm like, oh my God, this is my creation. I put this together. So we take it very personally, but that emotional cost that we have can impact us in multiple ways. For example, that can affect your mindset and your performance. So instead of being out trying to get new clients or being upbeat and service existing clients, if, you know, in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not good enough, or some other people are unhappy, and you're thinking, are these people unhappy as well? Actually, what you're doing is you're impacting your mindset and your belief. So the next person you're serving gets that. They don't get you with your energy. They don't get you where you're in the belief that I can do this. You know, I can really help these people. I can serve them. I can solve their problem. So you're actually impacting the next customer. The second thing that can happen is if we don't really look after what and fix the problem that the customer complained about in the first instance, and if we just kind of let it go because the emotions fade quickly, well, then that problem is going to happen again. So down the line, that problem is going to happen again. And the third one, I knew I wasn't going to remember all 3 of them now. The third one evades me completely, Roisin.
Well, we can talk about that again. But I think it's about it's also about really, well, people might be checking onto your workshops and your now that word has evaded me as well, your workshops and your groups. They might find out the third one.
Yes, so, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now you said it.
You know, it's in business and with your business is you understand, you like yourself. And I think if you like yourself, you understand yourself, you appreciate yourself, and you actually have that, your mirror image, that is mirroring off on everybody else that you meet.
It is.
And that is what happens. And I always tell everybody, not everyone's going to like me. Not one's ever going to like everybody. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think there's a time when you have to say, okay, we don't seem to gel. You ever meet people when you go, like when I first met you, we just gelled, and I thought, and at the start I thought, oh gosh, you know, this is Deirdre Martin, and I thought, oh God, you know, I was completely shocked from the perception I had of you when I met you because I didn't know you. Mm. And I always think it's about that building relationships is about, not that I had a different perception. I didn't have any perception of you. I saw you as this high-flying corporate lady, you know. And yet when I got to meet you, you were so down to earth. You were so logical, so practical, so friendly, so approachable.
Yeah.
And very kind. And you're always willing. You're so kind with your time.
Thank you.
But it's true. And I think this is what really, as you say, customer experience is all about.
It is. And recently I've co-authored a book as well, Roshi.
Tell me
that's
about
a
that.
number one bestseller in 3 continents on Amazon. So I'm
you have it there
proud
on your desk.
Of that. Pardon?
Do you have it on your desk or anything?
I don't have. Actually haven't gotten a hard copy of it yet. I'm still waiting on them to come. Yeah, I'm super excited.
What is the name of the book? And where can we buy it?
It's called Customer Experience 4, the number 4. It's the 4th in a series of customer experience books. And it is co-authored by 18 people who are customer experience professionals. And I happen to be one of these people in Customer Experience 4. So it's currently available on Amazon. You can download it on Amazon, and you can also get the paperback copies are now available. So my order is in, but it hasn't arrived yet. So I'm waiting for them to come in, waiting for it to come in the post. So yeah, it's available there. But the chapter that I've written is around human experience and how human experience is fundamental to customer experience. And what's interesting about that is even in global corporates and large organizations, and there was a study done, by the World Economic Forum in 2020, and one of the things that they did in the study was interviewed global organizations and asked them about employees, when employees get promoted or get moved into a role. And what's interesting is that 94% of the respondents, and there were over 3,000, said that they expected employees to pick up soft skills on the job. Mm-hmm. And I suppose where this comes into it for me is that people buy from people, right? Yeah, and it's like you said, it's about the vibe and connecting with people and the relations. But like some people, Roisin, are just simply rude, right? Some people, they never smile at you, you know, and it doesn't feel nice when if you were a smiley person and you go in, or some people mightn't chat or make small talk, you know, and those are things actually that create human experiences. It's the feeling we get. It's that emotion that I talked about earlier. You know, bumps or hurdles, if people are rude or not nice to you, that impacts your customer experience. And so one of the things with soft skills is that a lot of those soft skills are leadership skills. And my view on this is that everybody is a leader. Everybody is a leader, whether it's at your kitchen table, whether it's in your home, I don't know, in your boardroom, you know, in your office with your clients, you're a leader. Even if you're a solopreneur, you're a leader. You're leading your clients on their journey of transformation. So we are all leaders. And if we are not working to develop our leadership skills, if we're not looking to develop ourselves, well, then the people who are impacted the most are our customers. Yeah. And it's the same in large organizations, because it's that human experience, and that is something we can improve. And what I find interesting about this is that, you know, sometimes in organizations, they will teach things like listening skills. They will teach you how to be more resilient. You know, they'll bring in consultants to talk about these things, but sometimes something as simple as manners.
Oh, yeah.
We don't teach people manners, you know, and manners are not exclusive to wealthy households, you know, and sometimes people in wealthiest households have the poorest manners, and vice versa, you know, and manners are not exclusive to different cultures.
No.
You know, manners are often things that we learn at home, and people, regardless of their status, of, you know, their education, manners are something that they can be taught in a workplace. We don't need to, or we shouldn't. We're making a mistake, I think, if we just rely on homes to teach manners, because in your business, and whether you work on your own or with others, sometimes we are not aware, we're not self-aware of how we come across. We're not always self-aware of maybe our facial expressions. We're not always very aware of our body language and what that's communicating to others. And all of these things combined impact customer experience.
You do, because if you think of a spoken word, because that is very often in body language aligned with our facial expression. Mm-hmm. From our eyes to our smile, to the tone of our voice, to then our body language, to the delivery of the message. And if we're in a working professional experience, working for a company, we're not paid to have a bad day. We're not paid to be bad manners. We are paid to deliver the service to the clients or the customers as to what the company wants their reputation to be. So if they say you smile when they come in, walk in the door, open the door, you do it. As you say, you teach. Every protocol, business protocol, policies and procedures should be in a workbook telling exactly new members, employees or staff coming in, exactly how they would like their customers to be treated, the experience, from the customer service to the experience, and to even from the appearance, from the dress to the code, the tone of voice, and the language that is being used, because you are representing that brand. You are the brand when you're dealing with your customers.
Exactly. And I often feel that solopreneurs, particularly those who've been in business quite some time, they're inclined to invest in systems and in technology, and then they'll invest perhaps in employees. But the people they never invest in, or rarely do, or the last people that they'll invest in, are themselves. Yeah. And they are the ones that need it, because, you know, okay, it mightn't be about manners. It could be about empathy and how to really hone and flex your empathy muscles. Because again, like that, there was a survey done during the pandemic in 2020 on, don't ask me the number of survey respondents, but what they found was that businesses who had demonstrated empathy during the pandemic, these customers were 70% more likely to remain loyal to the businesses that demonstrated empathy. You know, and there's things like that where it's just about putting yourself in your customer's shoes. It's not just about putting yourself in your customer's shoes. It's about walking in those shoes. It's about, okay, what might I be thinking in these shoes at that time? You know, what might I be feeling when I engage with somebody like that at that time? What might I say? What actions do I have to take? And it's really about delving into the empathy piece. And all of this is so fundamental to human experience and customer experience. And part of it, a lot of it is to do with emotional intelligence, Roisin, you know, and we can run very successful businesses without being emotionally intelligent. But any business who invests in their emotional intelligence will survive and thrive in any market or situation. That's my view.
I agree with you completely. And it's also when you're in a solopreneur, entrepreneur, employing other people, it's about that self-investment of that self-awareness and that personal development as well as the business development, because you can't have business development if you don't have, then it's not aligned with personal development and personal growth, with that growth mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, things don't go easily in business all the time. You know, business is hard. And I remember ages ago, I was experiencing burnout when I worked in the bank, and, you know, and the doctor was saying to me, gosh, you know, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I've often thought about maybe working for myself. And she was like, gosh, don't do that. That's harder than working for a business. You know, this was years ago. But it struck me. I was in having bloods done there recently. And that's exactly the thought that struck me, because it was my first time to the GP in years.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh my gosh, you know, that was her view at that time, that running your own business is so much harder. And it is, like, business, things in business aren't always up, you know, there's often downs, and how you manage in those down times is what's going to potentially set you up for success in the future. You know, so it is about striking a balance and, you know, trying to keep your head above water when it feels like there's rocks dragging you down.
Because there's more in business, as you know, there's more obstacles and hurdles to get over and hurdles to get over. And one of my friends from years ago, because I used to be in pony club in Saudi Arabia, you know, horses and stuff, she said, Roisin, it was an inventing in Dhahran in the middle of Saudi Arabia. And she said, it doesn't matter how you get over, under, or around, you just have to get to the other side. She said, yeah. And I've always remembered that. And she always says, if you've got something of value to say, people will listen.
Yes.
And then with the two, and you use whatever, because she was an American, and she came over to Ireland and had a stud here in Ireland for a couple of years. And as soon as she moved over, she was waiting on everything to be shipped over from Saudi Arabia. But she then went over to Texas. Vicky Hammond, then she married her husband, Bob. So Vicky said, she had the stud. So I flew over from Saudi Arabia and we landed there. And she said, Roisin, I want to make a meatloaf. And I said, but you haven't, where's all, she went to the kitchen. I said, but you've no baking bowl, bowl. She got a plastic, she said, I know. She got a plastic bag, she washed it out, and she said, she dried it, she said, this is our baking bowl. You use whatever tools you have at the time. Mm-hmm. And when you know better, you do better. And when you have better, you use better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You just get on with it. You just achieve that goals. I want to talk to you another day about goal setting and all different things. Another day. That's another day's. But if you say there is women listening here today, if you had 5 tips to give women who are startup entrepreneurs, women in business, mm-hmm. What 5 tips would you give a woman listening today? If a woman needed, as you say, needed to invest in herself and her business, what 5 tips would you give her?
So the first thing I'd say is do some market research. Get to know your customers inside out, from everything that they would do to look up your business, to find you, so you can actually get yourself discovered, where they hang out online and offline, so you can be in those places and just show up and be visible where your clients are and the types of pain points and things that they have. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is look at what is your customer journey going to be. So instead of investing in systems and technology that you don't need or can't yet afford, look at
or how can't use, like me,
or can't use. Yeah. And that's very common, Roisin. Yeah. And, some people are technophobes, but you might need technology for your business at all, or you might think that you do, but there are simple or alternative options available to you. So I would say craft your customer journey next. The third thing I would say is get clear on your message. So what is your message going to be? And, I would highly recommend that people read that book by Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand. And that will help you clarify your message so that people will listen. And the fourth thing I would say is get comfortable selling.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing.
Get comfortable selling and see the product or service that you offer as a solution to people's problems, not as you being a sleazy salesman or a sleazy car salesman or something like that. You're providing a solution to people. And the fifth one I'd say is, and if I didn't say it already, I don't think I did, surround yourself with people who are mentors or coaches who've gone the journey ahead of you, who can guide and steer you on your journey and offer you the support and leg up that you need when you feel like you're facing a brick wall, or when you feel like that's a hurdle, it's going to take you an awful lot to climb over it. When your mindset is dipping or anything like that, that you have a group of people, or you have a mentor, or you have a coach, somebody who can help you just see the wood from the trees, and somebody who ideally will maybe just shift your perspective or influence you in a way that you need it to help you move forward. So those are my 5 things, Roisin.
Deirdre, it's been an absolute pleasure. And my apologies for my cat. I have 2 cats. Boots usually, I'm surprised he wasn't in. Boots always does a cameo appearance like Alfred Hitchcock. But Percy this morning, he never comes near me. But when he does, he wants to be sitting cuddled and everything else. But he doesn't like being touched. So I was slowly trying to edge him off the chair. And he didn't want to go. So then he thought he'd have a naughty little child. It only wants you when you're on Zoom and shows you. So my apologies.
Like children.
So therefore, it's always like knowing, as you said earlier, how you're going to handle things when things go wrong. I was trying to get him off the chair, but he wasn't having it. So he decided, so I said, okay, just let it go. I wasn't being cruel to my cat.
Oh, no, you can't do that, Roisin. Definitely not. No, but you're right. These things happen. Sometimes crazy stuff just randomly happens, and it's, how are you going to handle this in the moment?
He was just like, no, I don't want to get off. It's typical. It's like funny too, just to close off. It's like, we talk about humans. We all have different personalities, different vibes. I'm amazed too. So do animals. They all have different vibes, different personalities, different characters, different behaviors. One day, and that because you've got animals and horses and everything else. And, what I miss? And everybody's going to laugh at me. I miss the smell of the stable.
Oh, you're welcome to come out here and do some mucking out anytime, Roisin.
It's the smell of a stable. There's just something about the smell of a stable.
I love it too, but I think it's an acquired smell. It's not something that everybody likes. Whilst I love it as well, and there are many who pull up to the house and they'd be like, "Oh my God, what's the smell?" But like, we live in countryside. Our neighbours are cows,
Well, nothing. So horse manure is brilliant for roses, and women love roses. Everybody loves roses, so we need something about mucking out the stables. Everything has a purpose.
I agree. I actually find that's my mindfulness time, because you can't be on your phone. You have to just be there and present in the moment, actually. And I absolutely love it for that. It's my switch off time, and you're outside in nature, which I find really helps sometimes with the creativity. Just doing that, and that kind of physical work helps with the creativity and problem solving sometimes too. So. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for it.
There's a lot to be said for it. Deirdre, I'm no doubt, and I know, Competent Women Ireland would love to have you on talking about everything and anything, because you're such a vast experience and nuggets of wisdom to share on to many women here in Ireland and abroad and globally, with your experience and, as I said, vast knowledge. So especially when you have a hard copy of your book, we have to talk about that, have that as well, and maybe talk about goal setting and habits and social media going forward, because do check out Deirdre's Instagram page, expert advice on everything on her Instagram page. Deirdre, how can people find you? I just mentioned your Instagram page, but where are you on the web, and how can people find you?
People will find me on Deirdre Martin Consulting.ie. And on Instagram, as you said, Roisin, at Deirdre Martin, Deirdre Martin Consulting. I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Deirdre Martin Customer Experience on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Deirdre Martin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to Confident Women Ireland today. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
Thank you. The pleasure's been all mine, Roisin. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Until next time.
Until next time.
Salon. Did I say that right? Am I getting my pronunciations right? Salon.
Yeah, Salon.